What's up, everybody? Bad Gamer popping back in. How you doing? How is it going? How's your mama? How your daddy? How them kids? How them wives? How them hubbies? How them partners? How them fur babies? How is it that I am recording in a park in North Carolina with one of my dearest high school friends for this episode? I'm so excited. You guys don't even know. I try to tell you stories about my life, and most of y'all never believe them. But I have got the Sarah B. Ross. Look, I can tell you now, this episode is going to be more highbrow than what you're used to because she's so smart. She has a podcast that, okay, Sarah, SB. What is the name of your show?
It's called All Up in It.
All Up in It. I listened or watched 2.5 episodes of this thing. And I thought, oh, this is way out of my league. She has so many smart people on there, like people that are insightful, like her, brilliant, like her, but way out of my league of talking. So hopefully you're okay slumming it with us for a little bit. Because we do not go deep here. So tell everyone about you. Who is SB Ross?
Well, I have the great good fortune to be friends with Lemmer Pan for the last 30-ish years.
I am never going to hear the end of that, hopefully. And I don't do edits. So people are just going to hear the stuff. We get ducks out here or the birds or what rabbits coming up and saying, how you doing? They're going to hear all of it.
Awesome.
But she just called me Lemmer Pan, yo.
And everybody listening is like, yes, that is correct. That is the correct name. We know that now.
Go on. How about you?
Let's see. So I have that great honor and fortune, which is one of the great blessings of my life, really and truly. These days, I have just returned back to Greensboro, North Carolina, after 16 years away. Grateful for the time away. Happy to be back.
That's really accurate.
Yeah, that's for real. That's for real. And professionally, I am a coach. I often say business and well-being coach or whatever, but really what I'm a coach of is whole humans, right? Whole humans and cracking open. Here's what it's like. It's like we're all covered in plaster, right? And the plaster is meant to protect us. But like we put the plaster on a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
This was the best protection we had a long time ago. But now we're like older and wiser. We have better tools. Like we know more about life and ourselves. And so now we have better ways to protect ourselves. So my job is to help people crack that plaster off so that their shiny, beautiful inner selves can come out into the world.
Y'all, we just had an episode with, therapy with Fate Walker. We're about to get into it again. Oh, man, I did not expect it. Okay, so let's talk about what are you geeky about? Everybody's geeky about something, right?
Yes.
And so that people understand that you have your geek. You have your thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are you geeky about?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm embarrassingly nerdy and in love with my work. Like it's like I sometimes wonder if my wife is like jealous of my work because I have such a mad love affair going with my work. Like I just it's just like the coolest thing ever. But I'm also like madly in love with what I call my 90s, right? Because like the 90s were like, a lot of things to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But in my 90s, we were ridiculous and creative and playful and angsty and ironic and stoic.
Yes.
And we had like Bjork dressed as a stork, or swan or whatever that was. You know what I mean?
Bjork, stork, swan.
I mean, like, right? And we had like Kurt Cobain in his fuzzy sweaters.
Yes.
And like we had all of these things. And I'm still so in love with like that grittiness and and like I've gone back to making zines recently.
Shut up.
For real. For real. I will show you an amazing technique for folding one piece of paper into an 8-page zine. It's going to change your life. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our friend Lady Snipeshot, who is about your age, and again, while I say you remind me a lot of Lauren KHD, now that you say that, I'm saying, oh my gosh, you are Lauren KHD and Lady Snipeshot in one.
Nice.
She talked about trying to do zines, and she's the one that made me start doing podcasts because she said, you need to do it. And I said, okay. I need to know more about that. Okay, so what was your first zine? What is that? First off, explain zines for those that might not know.
Yes.
And then
okay.
Tell us about your first one.
Zines are little handmade, like the crunchier the better, the more you see the fingerprints, the better, little one-off magazines.
Okay.
Right. I mean, like not one-off, they can have runs, but like, you know, they're entirely unique. So my very first one I co-created with Sajal, who Lem knows from high school.
Yes.
And we thought we were very fancy and very deep, so it was named In Medias Res, in the mix of, or in the middle of.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Because that's what we learned about in English class
in
high school, right? And I promise you, there is a picture, it might have been the cover of one of them, of a young Elvis singing, and we had, like, I think cut the heads off of a bunch of models in magazines and, like, maybe blacked out some of their teeth and put them, like, all around him. And that was, I mean, that was definitely the vibe of that zine. There was also like a Vogue style, like a ladies magazine style quiz, only it was utterly nonsensical. Like everything about it was nonsensical, including the scoring. Like I think the scoring went from like 0 to 5 million points or something, and like one set of scores meant you like chocolate mint ice cream or something. You know, like it was ridiculous. It made no sense.
My gosh.
We had so much fun with it. Yeah.
Okay, so listening to this, I don't want to say it because I want to do it, but again, ADHD says, creative project, do it, and never finish it. I do what's called gametography, and I'll show you pictures later.
Yes.
So in-game photography, video game photography, and turning that into a zine, which, by the way, is not my idea. It's Lady Snipeshot's idea, that now that 2 of my influential friends have said something about doing them, I'm going to have to do.
I mean, it's synergy. You know, it's synergy pointing you in a direction. And here's the cool thing about zines, at least to my way of thinking, because again, my 90s, right?
Yeah.
In my 90s, you just throw it together. You don't think about it too hard. You don't get agonized about it. There's no room for perfectionism. So ideally, you sit down, and in a couple of hours, you're done, and that's your zine. And
really?
you move on with your life.
I don't know if I could do that.
It's a good creative challenge.
I have taken 2 hours on one photo.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh my gosh! All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Look for it in the Discord. We're gonna talk about zines in the Discord. So a little bit more about this creativity that we see in you. What else? What other kind of projects are you like? This is also part of my life. I like this other creative project.
Oh, okay. So, to the listeners, just a few minutes ago, I had opened my wallet and there it was, a shiny, glittery, holography sticker.
It's right. It's on my bullet journal, you guys.
Yes, and it's got little skeleton hands making a heart out of the fingers. Okay, and this is my logo for one of my Substacks called Death and Stuff. Okay, and Death and Stuff it's a every weekday snippet. Okay, it's like a sentence or 3. That's
okay.
it. And what it is about is finding more immortality, right? It's starting with the reality that we're all going to die. That's just a part of being alive.
Yeah.
Right? And so what are we doing if we're not contextualizing our lives inside of that fact?
Ooh.
Right? And how do we find even more appreciation and more beauty and more context and more direction based on the reality? This is a pretty short ride. You know? Like, let's make the most of it.
See, I told y'all she's so smart. It almost went over my head. She had to do a little bit more deeper explanation. So smart. All right. So, Death and Stuff.
Mhm.
You said that's a Substack?
Yes.
What's a Substack?
Okay, so Substack is it's kind of a newfangled blog. It's like blogs and it's like Medium and Patreon had a baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so there are all these writers on there, and they write all these usually long format. My Death and Stuff is a really unusual on there because it's so short.
Yeah.
You know, such short format. But it's usually long format. And usually the way it's set up is that there's free subscriptions, and then if you're like really digging on a writer, or it's really important to you to support a certain kind of person doing a certain kind of work, then you can pay them a little bit something. And usually you get a little more access.
Yeah.
Though on Death and Stuff, people who pay, they get the exact same content as
Yeah.
the free subscribers, but they're paying into a coaching scholarship fund.
Oh.
Yes, because so I've been a coach for almost 12 years now.
Yeah.
And my least favorite thing about coaching, as I said, I have a mad love affair going with coaching, but my least favorite thing about it is that it's an advantage that almost always goes to already advantaged people. Do not like that. Do not like that at all. And so I've tried a lot of ways to give away coaching. Like I've experimented a lot in the last 12 years. And this has been my most successful experiment so far. So Death and Stuff helps fund the scholarship. I offer a lower rate. On my side, that's my contribution. And then I get to like give away coaching.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm a Twitch streamer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do YouTube, I do Twitch, I do video games, that type of thing. And I find that as a community, like in a community, you get folks that are trying to help out. Like I've got Cozy Valkyrie who's trying to help me out with my Discord, and I've got my mod. We talked about him earlier, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Darth Kryptonite.
Nice.
He is my analytics guy. He's like doing all that. I don't see a lot of this in this sphere. A lot of coaching, like people that are looking they don't look at the analytics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking at analytics of Twitch or YouTube or anything like that. You would be looking at the analytics of the person doing the thing.
Yeah.
How is this affecting your life? What pieces of this are helping you blossom? What pieces of this are helping you, less so? How much of that fertilizer are you putting too much on? Right? Based on what you know about, online presence and are there two, three things that actually, yeah, I want you to think about. You can think about this.
Okay.
We can think about this. We'll go back. I want this in the back of your head.
Okay.
2 or 3 things that you might suggest to somebody. But before we get there,
Mm-hmm.
what do you remember about gaming in the 90s?
Oh, hello, Zelda.
So you were a Nintendo kid?
I was a Nintendo adjacent kid.
All right.
Like there were people in my house. We didn't really have a game system. We had a Texas Instrument.
Yes.
TI at
Yeah.
my mom's house.
Yeah.
At my dad's house, we had the original Nintendo.
Yes.
Right. And there were people who were way into it. And then I was sort of like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. And so the people who were way into it got like the bulk of the playtime. And I would sort of sit around and like. But there's this amazing arcade called the Starcade in Roanoke, Virginia, where I just moved from.
Yeah.
And they have the original Nintendo there. And I like threw down on some Mario a few months ago. I was like, I'm going to get that mushroom. Like, yeah, that was awesome.
Awesome. Okay.
Like, all the kids need to go away because I'm going to be here for the next 4 hours.
I run an arcade like that for God Games and Geekery. When we do the youth weekends,
Mm-hmm.
I set up this arcade of just consoles. It's not like stand-up arcade, but we've got an NES that Press Start Games in Appleton they have supported us like crazy.
Nice.
They have supported us like crazy. And this is one of the things I think we talked about it earlier. We had breakfast and so SB came up and said, we're going to give each other's life stories, but in 7-year increments. And we only got to age 21. I am not 21. It was so good. So But we talked about that, and I now do this arcade deal thing, and we talked about how it's weird how our life is circular, right? There's a circular pattern. As Lauren KHD says, life is a flat circle. And life is like a flat circle. Sorry, she's never said that. Her friend Lady Amelthea has said it. That's that she said it. She's never said it. But and Press Start Games is like that, because the owner of Press Start Games is one of my youth group kids.
What?
And I walked in there. I had Dark Kryptonite put a game on hold for me to go pick up, and he said, "Oh yeah, so it'll be the guy's name picking up is Lem." And Zach from Press Start Games says, "Lem Phillips?" It's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know him. He was my youth leader." You're like, "What?" Flat circle. Lauren, if you're listening, flat circle. Anyway, back to it. This is what we do. We call it on my own terms, because why have a straight path?
Exactly. That's not like life.
Yeah. So Zelda, you got down on this Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Have you tried any modern gaming?
Like, no.
None at all. Not even like on your phone.
Here's my problem. My problem is there's a learning curve. And it's not that I'm anti-learning. I'm like way pro-learning curve.
Yeah.
It just, a learning curve takes time and dedication and focus.
Yeah.
And games have never made it to the top of the priority list, which is a little bit of a bummer, because like my wife and her kids are like way into games. And so like I watch them game, and there's this little part of me that's like, I could be a part of that. And then there's a bigger part of me that's like, I think I'm going to go cook something. I'm going to make a zine.
Somebody in the relationship has to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. And my wife, they call anti-gamer.
Oh.
Yeah, we call her anti-gamer in the community, and she's very comfortable with it.
Yes.
Yeah, she knows it, and everybody in the community loves anti-gamer. They met Pop Gamer because we did a lot an IRL stream, and they met Pop Gamer, and now they support Pop Gamer in his antics.
That is super sweet.
Yeah, so
I will say, as a non-gamer, one of the things I love about being around gamers is like it's like getting to watch a whole other world function that I'm not privy to. You know, so like they're using language I don't understand. They're seeing things happening on the screen that I don't understand. They're super excited about what they're seeing on the screen that I don't understand. And it's super fun to watch them watching this. And that's my favorite part of that.
Okay. Do you know who you are? In gaming terms, most like battle royales, so not battle royales, but most hero shooters is what they call them, like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals or something like that. There's different classes. There's DPS. Those are the people that are out there doing the damage, getting the stuff done. There's tank. They are out there protecting everybody else. They are trying to take all the damage. And then there's the support team.
Yes.
You are support. You are a support team. You might not be out there in the battle, but you're like, hey, go do your thing. I got you. Oh, you need to make sure you drink some water. Have you had here's a snack. Here's your support.
You know, I will say I consider part of my support too being like, hey, do you know how many hours you've been at this?
Yes.
Maybe it's time for a break.
That is super important. I started playing this game, Fae Farm, a couple of weeks ago. And about a month ago, and I just started one Saturday. 8 hours later, people were like, "You're still on?" Well, no, was it Saturday? No, it wasn't Saturday. It was a day I was off on a Monday.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I knew I was on for a long time, I started at 7 a.m. Our friend Lauren, we've been talking about Lauren this whole time. She streams till about 1 p.m. Central.
Okay.
And when you're on Twitch, you can bring all of your viewers over to another channel by doing what they call a raid.
Oh, cool.
I got raided by Lauren, and I know what time she ends. And I was like, there's no way I've been on this long. And I look up on my clock, because I never look at the timer on the screen, especially if I have a day off. And I'm like, there is no way. And now I have to stay because Lauren just brought all her friends over.
Darn. I guess I'll have to keep playing.
Yeah. Anti-gamer was not at home. So, so there's that. All right. So you've had a moment. I wanted to give you time, and we're getting back to it. You have, what are 3 things for those that are trying to build a community, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Twitch, whether it be on Instagram? What should we be looking at to knock that plaster off?
Okay, so first and perhaps most importantly, we'll see if I agree with that statement in a minute. I think that just about everybody, maybe not 100% of humans, but I'm going to say the vast majority of humans, have a part of them that tells them that they're not enough. Right? It looks like that hit home. Yeah.
Raise your hand, y'all.
Right?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see you, but I know you're raising your hand.
It's a very human thing.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, that part of us also tells us we're the only ones. Right? That we're the only ones that aren't enough. And so here's my advice from that. Because it's going to get in our way. Right? Because the not enough part is fully a part of us. And so it knows exactly what buttons to press. It knows how to get us down. It knows how to get us to believe it.
Right.
Okay? That's just like normal human stuff. So here's what I've done that's been really helpful. I named it. Literally. So my not enough part is named Wampus. Okay? And when I first imagined Wampus, I imagined like this big scary thing with claws and it had a big club. And then I was doing this like partnered meditation technique thing because I'm a coach and we do weird stuff like that. And, and I saw Wampus for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
And he looks like Grover and Cousin It had a baby. Yes.
Shut up.
Yes, he looks like a Dutch haystack. Like a bright blue Dutch haystack. And he, much to my surprise, he looked really sad. He didn't look fierce. He looked really sad. And I was like, whoa, like, what do you need, dude? And he was like, I really need a hug. I was like, I've been going around this all along. Like, the whole time I've been like, shut up, Wampus, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta go sit in the corner, man. And then once I saw him, I was like, oh, this guy just needs a hug. Right? Like, he's freaking out because he's freaking out, right?
Yeah.
And what he needs is, like, a nervous system calming hug. Like, you're okay, we're okay. Like, we are enough, right? We're not everything because nobody is, right? We're not perfect because nobody is, but, like, we're okay, right? And so if we can turn toward those parts of ourselves and, like, bring in a little ridiculousness because, like, a bright blue Dutch haystack is ridiculous, right? But then turn toward those parts of ourselves lovingly, right? But like with a little tough love.
Yeah.
Like, so I sometimes advise people, depending on their life experience, I advise them to either treat that part like a little kid who's woken up in the middle of the night, positive there's a monster in the closet.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you can validate a kid and you can help them see there's not a monster without having to believe there's a monster.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a good reference for people who've had that experience. For people who haven't had that experience, treat that part of ourselves like a friend who's had too much to drink and thinks they should be able to drive, right?
Oh.
Right? But we're gonna be like, no, bro, like I'm gonna take those keys. No, I'm fine. I need to go home. No, I'm taking the keys.
Yeah.
Like this is happening right now. I love you, but like I will wrestle you to the ground if I have to. Right?
Wow. Do you guys remember that one time I told you SB was a genius? That one time, you remember that? Oh my gosh.
Humans, right? We have so much in common. We have so much in
Wow.
common. But that takes me to the second part, okay? The second part is that we are so much alike. So much alike. And, lemon or pan, there has never been a you before, and there will never be a you again. And that's true of everybody who is listening right now. And that is what makes each person's voice and perspective critically important. Right?
Wasn't ready. Was not ready.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to go over high school stuff. Okay.
You ask a coach a question, you're going to get a coach answer.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's 2.
That's 2, right? So every individual voice, totally, totally important. It doesn't matter if we're saying stuff that's similar to other people, right? It doesn't matter if we, if that not enough part brings in a lot of social comparison and tells us how we're not as good as somebody. Like, it doesn't matter. Each voice matters. Okay? And liberating each voice matters. Right? We were talking about our lunch bunch earlier.
Yes.
We had the most amazing lunch bunch in high school, y'all. It was like all the people.
Everybody. I've told them about it. I've told them about how we have had, I always say we were the rejects from all the other cliques.
Yes, exactly.
And it was an absolutely amazing experience and that's what I'm trying to replicate that feel in my community, where we have people from everywhere that the only thing we ask is love on each other.
Yes.
Treat each other with respect,
That's
love each other.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything else is details.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's room in the love for everything.
Exactly.
For everything and everybody.
Oh my gosh, are we hippies?
We are. But it's a fact. I've got some tie-dyed socks in my bag for you later.
Okay. All right. Number 3.
Okay. Number 3 is this. We humans are super uncomfortable with change. We low-key love innovation when we see it far away and it looks all shiny and it's making lots of money and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But when it's close up and it's not shiny yet, right? And it's new and it's gritty and it's just kind of getting going, it freaks us out. Right? Like in that close-up space, we're much more comfortable with people putting their heads down and going to a job that they hate, for 40 or 50 hours a week and then coming home because it's predictable and it's relatable and it's understandable and it's not scary. Okay? Which is a way of saying when we are being innovative and creative, people around us aren't going to get it for the most part. Occasionally we'll have people who get it, but for the most part, people aren't going to get it. And they might even push back. And they might push back in ways that we find painful and harmful and like we want to shut down. Right? And in that way, creativity and innovation can be really, really lonely. And so I say that to say 2 things. One is communities like this, where you're really seen in your wholeness and you're honored in your innovation and your creativity and your playfulness and your curiosity, like so important. Like hold on with both hands because so super important. And the other thing is to try really, really, really hard to not let other people's fears determine your decisions.
Ooh. Did y'all hear that? Say it again.
Yes.
Just in case.
Yes, try hard. And it's going to be hard. It's always really hard, right? But try really hard to not let other people's fear make your decisions for you. Because here's what's going to happen. Someday they're going to understand your vision because it's going to get shiny enough for them to really grok it. Yeah. And then they're going to think you're the most brilliant person ever. And they're going to think you were always brilliant. They're going to be like, I always believed in you. Like, did you know? Let's rewind the tape. Let's roll it back.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
And just to say it too, like that fear comes from love.
Yeah.
Right? That fear comes from like, hey, person I care about, like I want you to be okay. I want you to thrive. I want you to have a healthy, sustainable life. That's lovely, right? But like it's nobody else can tell us what that means to us as unique individuals. Only we can figure that out for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that includes a lot of experimentation. So let's let ourselves experiment.
Yeah.
Right? And if that means we run an experiment, we decide like, oh, I thought this thing was going to be so shiny and it's not. Like, okay, cool. Good data. Now you know that. Let's try something else.
Wow.
So I guess that was 4.
Okay.
A bad rule follower.
Okay. I'm okay with it. Anybody else upset about 4? No? Okay. I didn't hear anybody say anything about it. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is why I wanted you to meet SB. This is why I was so excited that I was coming back to Greensboro to see my parents. And in that they like to take breaks, they like to take naps. And I could catch up with some of my friends. We're going to have other episodes. We're going to have episodes with my parents. We're going to have an episode with our boy Phil. But this is going to be the first one. I'm calling it. This is going to be the first one. And I need you to go find SB Rawz, ARAWZ.
That's right.
All right, on whatever platform you are on, whatever platform you're on, and if they're not on, if SB is not on the platform, you go to the one that she's on, and then you tell them there to go on this one. But what are the platforms? Where can they find you? Tell us all about that.
Okay. I am like not the most digitally rich person ever. So these
Trust me, when
days-
these people show up, they will help you.
They will help me find safe space online, y'all, because I got off of all the like Facebook and the Instagram because it did not feel safe to me.
Yeah.
But my website is rawzcoaching.com. I'm on there. I'm on LinkedIn because somebody's got to stir the pot on LinkedIn. Like,
Yeah.
you can't all be like nonsense. And then Substack, where I've got my death and stuff, and I also have SB's Chipped Plaster, where every Monday we talk about stuff like this.
Okay, so I think we need to get SB on Discord.
Ooh.
I think that's what we need to do. What do you guys think? Let me know in comments in our Discord, whatever it is. SB, this has been so, you don't know how much I needed this. I needed this so much. And this time, you guys, I get to look at my person in the eyes and I can give them a hug after. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. Hey, if you want to find me, Bad Gamer Elite on all the stuff. That's all one word, Bad Gamer Elite. And as they say, what were we talking about again?